What if you moved to Los Angeles with a dream, a suitcase, and a headshot? And 10 years later, you're still waiting for your big break. This is how it starts for so many. A girl from Denver, Atlanta, or Portland who's been told her whole life she's camera ready, a natural, the next big thing. She auditions in school plays, wins talent shows, gets the lead in community theater, and one day decides to bet everything on the dream. For Jess, it began in 2015. She was 23, fresh out of a theater program in New York, full of fire and student debt. She moved to LA with $3,000, a shared apartment in North Hollywood, and a belief that if she worked hard enough, stayed positive, and kept grinding, the door would finally open. 10 years later, she's 33. She's had 3 credited roles. One was a nurse who says he's crashing in a medical drama. Cut to a 2-second shot. Another was a background character in a streaming rom-com who claps at a wedding. And the third? She voiced a cat in a kids' animated series. The cat had one line, "Meow, I regret my choices." She still laughs when she hears it, mostly because if she doesn't laugh, she might cry. She gets residuals too, $18.47 last quarter. She framed the check. She's not bitter, she's not broken, but she is tired. And she's starting to wonder, did I waste my best years chasing a dream that was never mine to catch? Because in Hollywood, the dream isn't dead, it's just oversold. If you've ever given everything to a goal that never came true, not because you weren't good, but because the system was stacked too high, this one's for you. This story came from a viewer named Jess. She wrote to us in July 2025, just weeks after turning down an audition. Not because she wasn't interested, but because she finally admitted to herself, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's okay. Jess grew up in Denver, the kind of kid who memorized movie monologues in her bedroom mirror, and made her family watch her original plays performed in the backyard. Teachers said she had star quality. Friends said she should move to LA. By 22, she'd saved $5,000, quit her job at a coffee shop, and booked a one-way ticket to Los Angeles. She arrived in 2015 with a headshot, a demo reel filmed by a friend with a DSLR, and a binder full of audition notices. She got an agent within 6 months, a small boutique agency that took 20% and promised access. She took classes at a well-known studio, paid $250 a month for networking mixers, and spent weekends driving from Burbank to Santa Monica, waiting in casting offices with 10 other women who looked just like her. Young, fit, approachable, ready to play best friend, nurse, or woman at bar number 3. Her first credit came in 2016, a 2-line role on a procedural drama. She rehearsed for days. Her mom flew out to celebrate. The scene aired at 2 a.m. It was cut from streaming. Still, she kept going. She booked a commercial for a mattress chain in Fresno. Firm support for Restless Dreams, which paid $200. She used the money to renew her Actors Access subscription and fix her car. In 2019, she landed her biggest break, a voice role in a Netflix animated series for kids. She walked into the studio, nervous, excited, thinking, this is it, people will hear me. They gave her one line, "Meow, I regret my choices." She delivered it in 3 takes. They went with take 2. She still gets residuals, $18.47 last quarter, direct deposit into an account she almost forgot existed. But behind the scenes, the cost was rising. Rent in her North Hollywood apartment jumped from $400 to $2,300 in 6 years. She took side jobs, waitressing, brand ambassador gigs, even a short stint as a background performer where she stood in the rain for 8 hours for $120. She had no health insurance, no retirement, no paid time off. One year she worked 47 gigs, none of them acting. And the emotional toll? Even heavier. Rejection wasn't the problem, she expected that. It was the invisibility. The feeling that no matter how many headshots you print, how many classes you take, How many "thank you for coming in" emails you get? You're just one of thousands doing the exact same thing. A 2024 UCLA Hollywood Diversity Report found that less than 2% of working actors in film and TV are able to earn a living wage solely from acting. The rest, like Jess, piece together income from side jobs, gigs, and sheer willpower. And the system? It's not built to lift people up, it's built to keep them hoping. Casting directors want fresh faces, but only if they already look familiar. Agents sign dozens of actors, then focus on the few with connections or money. And the myth? Just be patient, your time will come. But what if your time never comes? What if you hit 35 and realize the industry wants you to look 25 forever? What if you love acting, but hate the audition grind? Jess did everything right. She was talented, she was professional, she showed up. But the dream wasn't about talent, it was about luck. Timing, who you know. And for every breakout star, there are thousands like Jess. Skilled, dedicated, unseen. In 2023, she started therapy. Not because she was depressed, but because she was confused. She didn't know who she was outside of actor. She hadn't applied for a real job in 10 years. Her resume was full of coffee shops and casting calls. She tried teaching acting to kids, liked it, but couldn't get hired without a credential. She thought about moving back home, but couldn't face the "I told you so" looks. And then, slowly, she began to ask a new question. What if I'm not failing at acting, but succeeding at surviving? Now, before we get to what she's doing next, I want to hear from you. Have you ever given years of your life to a dream that never took off? Do you still hold hope? Or have you quietly let it go? Drop your story in the comments. Not to compare pain, just to say, I see you. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Because next week we're telling the story of someone who followed their passion and found peace in walking away. Here's the truth Jess didn't see coming. The problem wasn't that she wasn't good enough. It was that the system wasn't built for people like her. Not because she lacked talent, not because she didn't work hard, but because Hollywood doesn't run on merit. It runs on access, connections, timing, and a narrow definition of marketability that rarely includes women over 30 who don't fit a specific look or background. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't delusional. She was realistic. But the dream wasn't. Because here's what no one tells you when you move to LA with a headshot and hope. You're not just competing against other actors. You're competing against nepotism babies, social media influencers, and casting algorithms that favor familiarity over freshness. A 2025 study from the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative found that over 60% of speaking roles in top films and TV shows go to actors with at least one family member already in entertainment. Meanwhile, open casting calls are flooded with thousands of submissions, many from people just like Jess, willing to work for scale, for exposure, for the chance. And the deeper you go, the more the rules change. At first it's about talent, then it's about persistence, then it's about looking young, sounding right, dressing the part, saying the right things in the room. And eventually it's not about acting at all, it's about performance. Of confidence, of gratitude, of being easy to work with. Jess learned to smile after every "we'll be in touch," to say no worries when they cut her scene, to act like she wasn't devastated when a role she wanted went to someone with 200K Instagram followers and zero training. But here's the moment it changed. In early 2025, she auditioned for a supporting role in a streaming drama, a therapist with 3 scenes. She prepared for days, nailed the read, got a callback, then silence. 2 weeks later, she saw the casting announcement. The role went to a reality TV star making her acting debut. And for the first time, she didn't feel sad. She felt seen. Not as an artist, but as a statistic, because this wasn't about her. It was about what sells, what trends, what gets clicks. And the hardest truth? There's no failure in not making it in Hollywood, because the game was never winnable for most people who play it. That doesn't mean acting was a waste. It meant something. She learned to command a room, to speak clearly, to embody emotion on cue. She learned how to be rejected and keep going. She learned how to survive in a city that measures worth by visibility. But she also learned that you don't have to be famous to be valuable. You don't have to be seen on screen to be seen in life. And you don't have to make it to be proud of how far you've come. So she made a quiet decision. She wouldn't book another audition, not because she gave up, but because she chose herself. She started looking into certification programs for drama therapy, using her skills to help others, not sell a product. She began writing short monologues again, not for casting directors, but for herself. And she finally applied for a job, part-time, benefits, stable hours, at a nonprofit that works with youth in the arts. It wasn't the dream she left Denver for, but it was a life, one she could actually live. And that, after 10 years of chasing a spotlight that never landed on her, felt like freedom. So what did Jess learn? She learned that talent isn't enough, not because it doesn't matter, but because the system wasn't built to reward it fairly. She learned that persistence isn't always heroic. Sometimes it's just exhaustion in disguise. And she learned that walking away from a dream doesn't mean you failed. It means you grew up enough to see it clearly. What would she change? She wouldn't have moved to LA with less savings. She'd have had a backup plan, health insurance, and a clearer understanding of the odds. She'd have pursued other skills earlier, teaching, writing, therapy, not as fallbacks, but as real paths. But she wouldn't erase the 10 years, not the auditions, not the voiceover of a regretful cat, not the nights she cried in her car after being told she wasn't quite what they were looking for. Because that time wasn't wasted, it was lived. Was it really a failure? No. Because she didn't stop trying, she stopped pretending. She didn't lose her passion, she redirected it. And she didn't disappear. She reappeared. Not on screen, but in her own life. Now she's not chasing fame. She's building a life where she doesn't have to perform to be worthy, where her value isn't tied to a credit or a residual check, where she can say, I was an actor without shame, and I'm moving on without guilt. If you've ever given your best years to a dream that never came true, know this: you're not behind. You're not a cautionary tale. You're someone who dared to try in a world that makes it nearly impossible for most to succeed. And that takes courage, the kind no casting director can measure. Drop your story in the comments. Have you let go of a dream quietly? Do you still miss it? Or are you, like Jess, finding peace in a different version of success? We read every message, and then sometimes just being seen is the break you needed all along. Hit like if this resonated. It helps others find this video when they're questioning their path. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Because every week we're telling stories like this. Real people, real dreams, real lives, even when they don't go viral. Because here's the truth: not everyone gets the spotlight, but everyone deserves to feel seen. Keep going. You're not where you thought you'd be, but you're still here. And that's where the next chapter begins.